I'm going to take a look if it's clear to see. So remember the last picture I showed you, the concept, of the face. This is a character model I'm currently developing for second year's game art classes, which starts in February. I'm halfway, so it's not finished yet. So. Let's get into this. So I talked about how tech interferes with your workflow. How I see a lot of MBO students when they come in at the HQ, and not only MBO students, of course, but how they construct a character is by, well, let me demonstrate. For instance, they start off with a box, and maybe when you have reference files, which is not loading in, but anyway, if you have a reference file, what they do is copy. They try to copy. So if they have a reference file of a character, and they try to match exactly the shape of that drawing. And they do that by slicing up the mesh and like pushing and pulling vertices or faces. But that's not how you construct, how I see it, a character. Let's see. So you can imagine when you are constructing a face. So let's get back to the face here. It gets very tedious in the sense of you're pushing and pulling vertices without really thinking about shapes and form. And you're not in a creative flow because it's a very slow process. If I had to construct this by just box modeling, how we call it, it would take days to do this. So that interferes your creative flow. And at the same time, you have to think about topology. Topology is how edges flow. For instance, if you look at the mouth, and you see here there are some rings around the mouth, and they are there to help animation to get a good deformation. So when you're constructing a mesh, then it becomes very kind of a multitasking when you have to think about topology, and you have to think about constructing shapes, so it interferes with each other. And that's my main concern about this type of modeling. So when we take a look at basic art principles, then you always see that whether you are a sculptor or a 2D artist, you always start with grounding some basic shapes. So what I'll do, as you can see here, I just start off with a sphere. And I only use a sphere. And I'm not using anything else than a sphere, because I'm not concerning about topology or polygons or vertices. I just begin with a sphere, and I'm just, well, deforming it a little bit, and just placing a few basic shapes. Now, in human anatomy, it's very important that you have 3 volumes, which is the head, the midsection, and the abdomen, or the hip section, in place, because that determines your character. And with grounding, what I mean with grounding is, in Dutch it's onderbouwing. You're really trying to get into, who is this character? Because if I move one of these, like the head, and move it down, you can see it becomes a totally different character, more of an old man. And just by placing volumes, shapes, you can really determine who this character is in his posture. So that's the first step I do. And from this, I also make some, you could call it bones, to get some proportion down. So a human character is most of the times it's 8, or big people are 9 heads tall, as you can see here. Oh wait, zoom out a bit. Yes, as you can see. So that's a good trick to get proportions down very easily. And of course you need some basic anatomy knowledge to construct a human. So, and from this I can just, for instance, I take this, let's take this one. And let's duplicate this one. This is, hey, didn't do it. Well, anyway, what I do from this is that I shape muscles by using, as you can see here, the same sphere. And this is how I build up a character. Now, you can do this in Maya, but you can also do this in ZBrush. And in ZBrush, it's digital sculpting, and it goes way faster, by the way. So whether you do this in Maya or ZBrush or any other application, it doesn't matter. It's about grounding shapes, just nailing some basic shapes. And this is actually, this figure here, which you see here, is actually something I imported from ZBrush. So it's not even done in Maya. So when I've finished with this, I have a clear direction of where I'm going with my character. So instead of box modeling, starting, for instance, at the feet and extruding outwards or upwards, this is a very good way to get a sense of volume, proportion, stature, etc., etc. This is really the base from which I go on. So it's very different from box modeling. And this ensures quality in your model. Because what I see a lot happening when people start modeling at MBO, lower education, is that they don't get the right proportions, or they don't get the anatomy down, because they are modeling from one plane and they forget to look at sideways and rotate around it. So you get very, almost stick figures, very straight models without the curve in the back, with all those anatomy rules and regulations. So, and this is again what I send off to a ZBrush again. From this, I sculpt. I go sculpting. Until you get something like this. And this process can be very quick. I can construct this head in ZBrush within, well, I guess, maybe a day. And before it would take me a week. So it's very efficient also. So if we talk about pipeline process, then it's really about the first phase, as you can see here. It's not readable a bit, but you can see there 3D mockup in the first phase. So that's what I'm doing. I'm making a 3D mockup before I go into the next iteration. And here you can see the full process when I'm wanted to get it in game. Well, not the full because it's not textured, of course. But so this is the first one is what I send off to a ZBrush. The second one is when I'm finished the model in ZBrush. And then it's not very clear in the picture, but you have to imagine with box modeling, a pro for box modeling is that because you're thinking about topology and you're constructing it at the same time, you're going to be very good at topology, getting how to, how the edge flow must be. So when you're following my or this workflow, then your knowledge about topology is gone, because you're only using mesh where you don't bother about topology or edge flow. You just sculpt or construct. So a way to counterbalance this process is by drawing the topology on the model in ZBrush. And this is a very good way to train yourself to produce good quality topology on the model. And then if everything goes right, you produce a head with good topology that can be textured. So this is how far I am now. This is a bit I will show the grayscale. So you have a bit of a good overview of how it looks. This is the high definition mesh, by the way. So what I often do is that I'm constructing this in ZBrush, go back to Maya, and because this is a very good example where I use organic modeling, like in the face, and box modeling, like you see here. This is easily done just in Maya. You don't need to go to ZBrush for that. So shapes that are very angular, shapes that are user objects, can be easily done in Maya. But for areas that need organic modeling, I go into ZBrush to get that creative flow in my process without thinking about topology.
Right.
Yeah.
Meindert, thank you very much for your talk. Can I get an applause from you all? Yeah.